what I'm going to do next is make a small adjustment to the injection pump timing. Before I actually started to do this job, I used a computer program called Volvo to check the dynamic timing, and it was floating around between 2.5 and 3 degrees retarded or negative. So what I need to do is actually just advance the timing of the pump very slightly in order to try and remove that, because if you remember earlier on in the video I showed you the idler slash adjuster pulley. The capabilities of that are about 2 to 3 degrees in either direction, so I really need to try and minimize the degree to which the timing is out before I set the new belt. And then obviously at the end of this procedure, the timing belt change, you need to test and adjust the dynamic timing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the pump and rotate it slightly towards the front of the car, so that direction. And what that's going to do is advance the timing, and when I mean slightly, I mean very slightly. One tooth on the injection pump belt is equivalent to about 20 degrees on the dynamic scale, so mine being 2 to 3 degrees out, it needs to be advanced about millimetre and a half. So what I'm actually going to do is just clean some of the dirt off on the body of the pump behind the pulley and place a little Tipex mark on the on a tooth of the pulley and also on the body at the back, and just rotate it slightly. If you don't have access to a program or a code reader that can actually measure the dynamic timing, just don't do this, just leave it alone, and have that checked and adjusted later by a garage or Volvo dealer or somebody with access to Vol FCR. Because if you get the injection pump timing more than, say, a tooth or so out, the car's not going to start. So as long as it was running fine before, just leave it locked up at this point, move on to stripping the main belt. It's also a good time with the belt removed just to have a look around. I'm sure you can spot that oil leak there. From what I can see, that's been coming from up top there underneath the valve cover gasket, but it's also a good idea to have a look at this cam seal here, and if you've got a leak there, good idea to replace that, because if the oil gets onto the belt, it can damage the rubber and cause the belt to fail prematurely. And there we go. Okay, that's a 10mm bolt locking the injection pump there. Loosen that off. Saw it move there, I was going the wrong way. Okay, that'll work. Let me just get a steel ruler. one of those things where you could do with about 3 or 4 hands. Okay, that's actually moved by about 1.5 mil, which might actually be perfect. I'll find out later. Okay, let's retorque that to 30 Newton meters. Pump lock back in place, and now we're going to go move over the other side and strip the main timing belt off, and I'll explain to you how it's supposed to go, and then you'll see the problem I've got. Okay, see you around there in a minute.